Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Yogascha Yoga Margascha Yoga Shakti Tvameva Cha Yoganandam Yoganatham Yoginam Tvam Namamyaham. Namaste, my dear friends. In our journey of yoga, we had so far understood about the four streams of yoga, essentially Jnana Yoga, the yoga of the intellect or the path of the wisdom or the path of the analysis, and then the Raja Yoga, which consists of the Kriya Yoga and the Ashtanga Yoga, essentially the path of the willpower, the path of the mind, and then Bhakti Yoga, the path of divine love or the path of the science of emotions culture, the yoga of science of emotions culture. And then we have seen Karma Yoga, the path or the yoga of action in relaxation. Without expecting anything in return, the selfless action is Karma Yoga, is what we have seen. And the end result of all this remains the same. The process may be different, the way in which we travel would be different, but the destination remains the same in all these four paths of yoga. Ultimately, our goal is to be free. As Vivekananda says, the goal of life is to manifest this divinity and be free by controlling nature, internal and external. And to achieve this, different ways, different paths have been given because people are not the same. There are diversities in the creation, the diversities in the existence, diversities in understanding, diversities in our execution and experience. And accordingly, this system of yoga has been so liberal enough, giving us the freedom to choose which way, which path to take. If you are strong in your intellect, the power of questioning and reasoning, the scientific temperament is more, then the path of Jnana Yoga is for you. The mind power, the thought power is so strong that use that and then go even beyond the thoughts to the thoughtless state of Samadhi by using the power of the will, by rising one's own self in the right path of Raja Yoga. And if you're emotion oriented, if you're an emotional kind of person, a heart oriented, not the head oriented but the heart oriented person, then use the path of the emotions culture through the love, which is the wonderful human emotion, the instinct that we all have, and sublimate it. Instead of suppressing this emotion, you sublimate, rise yourself. People always say, I had fallen in love. But Bhakti Yoga says how you can rise in love and not fall in love. When you fall for the human love, it is falling down. But when you rise yourself for the divine love, it is rising in love. It is sublimating and not suppressing. And that's the path of the Bhakti Yoga. And ultimately, that all that we do, right? We even in the path of Jnana Yoga, or Raja Yoga, or Bhakti Yoga, there is something that you are doing. So that sense of the doing, that duty itself, converting it into a yoga, when you do it without expecting the result, not getting attached to the result, but focusing on the path, the progress is achieved through Karma Yoga. And so the process would be different, the path could be different, but the end result is attaining that Paramatma, attaining that universal consciousness, the Jivatma, the individualized self, attaining the universal consciousness is what is ultimately in all the paths of yoga that we see. And ultimately, as I said, to be free, to enjoy this freedom from the bondages of diseases, from the bondages of the materialistic, the temporary values that we have, and then from the ignorance. So it is ultimate freedom, ultimate knowledge, ultimate power and ultimate happiness that you experience when you reach this wonderful union in the ultimate state of yoga, which is Yujyate Anena Iti Yogaha. When you feel the sense of oneness with the universal consciousness, then there is no more delusion, there is no more ignorance, there is no more disease, there is no more problem. Yasmin sthito na dukkhena. After attaining that way, there is no more dukkha, there is no more sorrow, there is no more misery, there is no more bondage, there is no more binding, and you are ultimately free. Yam labdva cha param labam. Everybody wants to attain this ultimate labha. Sukha praptihi, dukkha nivrittihi. So this is what ultimately all of us want to do, and all these paths lead you to the same goal. As I told in the beginning itself, as in a temple you have the 4 dwaras, the 4 way to get into the same center, sanctum sanctorum, or in a pond or in a river you have multiple sites through which you can enter to the water and take the water and enjoy its benefit. Similarly here, different ways are given to reach a place. It could be the Delhi, Chennai or Singapore, Dubai, somewhere you have different ways of traveling. You have the right to travel by the road or by the air, by the rail or by the waterways. Similarly, all these 4 streams of yoga had given. So we need to understand that technically there could be difference, but ultimate purpose of all the streams are one and the same. So though they are diversified, there is a unity. This unity in diversity is what we need to understand. And Krishna in the very Yoga Shastra of Gita, he says, ye yatamam prapatyante tam stataiva bhajamiham. Whomsoever takes whichever path, right, ultimately reach to me. The water from the sky, when it falls down through the rains, through the rain showers, it reaches the river, reaches the stream, reaches the lake, it reaches the ponds, it reaches the ocean, everything. Ultimately, all this water from all the rivers go and join in the ocean. Akashat patitam toyam yadha gacchati sagaram. All the waters go and merge in the ocean. Likewise, all of us ultimately have to merge with that universal consciousness. We are all the waves, my dear friends, of the mighty ocean of the Paramatma, and Jivatma becoming one with Paramatma is bound to happen. And for that, we need to make this process, the progress, by experiencing the path of yoga, by experiencing the path of one or more or all of this. Swami Vivekananda said that in this modern age, a perfect integration, a perfect integrative approach is what it's going to yield as the benefit, because you can't just keep one path and all the time dedicate yourself. The modern mind is so fast and it needs to be engaged in so many ways. So question for yourself, try to understand. Today all of our younger generations are very scientific in their temperament. So who am I? Why did I come here? Where am I going to go? How do I solve my problems? Everything you should question, as Vivekananda questioned Sri Ramakrishna or Ramana Maharshi, the very basic question of who am I, right? All scientists, they had the question, right? So similarly, have this question, try to find the answer, understand, and having the knowledge, having the analysis, then start putting it into practice through the systematic process of Ashtanga Yoga, of the Yama and Niyama. For any yogi, any path of yoga, it is very much relevant. The Yamas and Niyamas are not just, you can't say, no, I practice Jnana Yoga, so I don't want to practice Yama Niyama. Or I practice Bhakti Yoga, so I don't want to follow Yama, Niyama of Ahimsa, Satya, Brahmacharya. These are universal values, my dear friend. Each and everybody, no matter which path of yoga, whether it's Jnana Yoga or Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga or Hatha Yoga, you need to practice Yama, Niyama. It's basic human values of life, the value of values. So we need to apply all those. And so you practice that. Then for every path of yoga also you need the stability of your body, the flexibility of your body, the hardness of the body, all are very which required with the asana gives. Then the control of the vital life force energy, pranayama. Even for the practice of the Shravanam, Mananam in Jnana Yoga or in Bhakti Yoga for the Dhyanam, the Sakuna Dhyanam or Japam, pranayama gives you a wonderful preparation, a Chitta Shuddhi. When you control the prana, the mind also becomes clear and pure. And so it is very much required there also. So withdrawal of the sense organs from the sensory pleasures, the pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, all that we need to do. Dhyana, it could be the dhyana of your Ishtadevata in Bhakti Yoga. Nitidhyasana is what is dhyana in Jnana Yoga. So it is common. There is a common thread in all the paths of yoga. So no matter whichever path you take, you can succeed. But Vivekananda refers or prefers, Swami Vivekananda, he prefers that a perfect integration. As Sri Aurobindo also, who succeeded Vivekananda in the yogic field, who was the next great vibrant yogi, and he had also given us the path of the integral yoga, as he calls it. So an integration, a perfect blend would give us a wonderful result. So having understood by the Jnana Yoga and controlling the thoughts and the mind through the power of the Raja Yoga by application of the Yama Niyama, then channelizing the human emotions of love to the divinity, to the Bhakti Yoga, and converting each and every action that we do through an action of yoga, through an yogic activity, through an yogic attitude, that becomes Karma Yoga. So a perfect blend of all this is what is the best for the modern life, for the modern man, for the modern woman, for the modern human generation to come. And maybe all practice all this, inspired by all these great yogis of the lore. There are many contemporary yogis from whom we can take an example from, and we can get inspiration and imbibe all those in our life and elevate ourselves in the path of yoga. Yoga is ultimately, the path of elevating a man from the animal instinct, from the asurism, from the animal instinct to being a man, being a Superman. A Superman is not somebody who puts the pant and then the underwear outside. He is somebody who embodies super qualities. The divine qualities is what a Superman is. So from animal level, a man, a Superman, a divine man and a divine person, and then divinity he ultimately reaches. So it's a journey from the animal instinct to the divinity is what yoga is. And yoga is a scientific, systematic scientific process of self-unfoldment. It is a wonderful practice for all of us to practice. It's a way of life. Yoga is life. Well, let us all practice yoga and grow more and more in our human consciousness and go deep into the practice, understanding the philosophy, apply that in the practice. What is happening unfortunately today? People just want to practice yoga and they take bits and bytes and practice some asanas, practice few pranayama or surya namaskara, and then they try, and then they say that they are yogis or yogacharyas. Whereas we need to have a better understanding. The philosophy should be substantiating the practice. And only understanding philosophy and sitting and meditating will not also help. You need to apply that in the practical aspects also. So the understanding through the philosophy and application through the practice, right? Tattva and Tantra should go hand in hand, and that's what we are trying to imbibe in this wonderful course of the yoga instructors course of the yoga teachers training that we are offering here. And may we all understand, apply and enhance and experience. Thank you so much.